Welcome to Orange County Power Players, where we spotlight the personal, professional, and financial success stories of OC's top leaders. Here's your host, Danny Flores.
Welcome back to OC Power Players, where I interview some of the most successful people in Orange County. I'm Danny Flores, your host, and today's honored guest is Brett Macomber, zooming in from Colorado. Brett is an accomplished leader with experience developing and implementing business and information technology solutions for some of the nation's largest companies. Strategic thinker, adept at change management, implementing operational plans, and promoting efficiencies. Ability to establish and maintain partnerships with vendors, staff, and senior leadership. Detailed knowledge of technologies with enterprise information systems, domain, motivating team leader, trainer, and coach. Entrepreneur at heart. Welcome, Brett.
Woohoo! Thank you, Danny. We always sound so good in our bios.
We do. So tell us a little bit about what you do and how you got into the business.
For sure. So I'm originally from the Midwest. I do currently live in Southern California in Aliso Viejo. But when I was in the Midwest, I was actually a general contractor. And so I learned to build residential and commercial buildings from the ground up. Later in life, I was able to transition into the IT and security vertical. And my construction background really helped me, especially when we're doing a lot of security cameras, access control, things that require physical installation in addition to the digital component.
That, I guess I would say that made it easy for you, location, installation, the type of anchors you use for the cameras to hold them up on the wall, the wiring, all of that stuff. I guess that goes not just saying I want a camera here. Question is, how are we going to power that camera and get it back to the main computer, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you have to think about people as well. When you're designing a security system, you have to be able to put your mind into that of someone who may want to do something nefarious or damage a company. And so you have to think about, how would this person behave? What would they do to try and bypass these security cameras or this access control? So beyond a technical component, you really have to understand maybe how people think and what drives them and their desires that lead to, bad behavior.
Right. And I guess if you put the cameras in strategic spots with that in mind, potentially if somebody's thinking of something, maybe they stop thinking about it because they figure they can't get away with it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the first line of defense is make your security visible as that first deterrent. So people be like, oh, I know there's a security system around, so maybe I better behave a little more. Right.
Exactly. So do you do other things in the IT side other than the security and the cameras part of it?
Yeah, absolutely. We also do the managed services portion of it, which is like your software, kind of your ongoing operations, if you will. The infrastructure is part of the build out. Once the facility is built, then we move on to operations, and we deploy the software. We deploy different solutions that integrate the softwares and physical things that a company uses. So because I do have that construction background, I really like to just come in and build a facility from start to finish, design, build, support.
Do you guys usually go in as you're doing the IT work for office space, or do you go in after it's been built and maybe somebody needs an upgrade?
We do both. Because as you know, it's very important to keep your business up and running smoothly. And over time, what you may have installed, 5-10 years ago, it needs an upgrade. So we enjoy doing the net new projects, but also coming in and doing a refresh or doing things to just, take a business to the next level after it's already been built and operating.
Right. So now years ago, in the old days, maybe 20 years ago or something, the offices used to have inside the office, they had these IT rooms where they had these file servers. You had the email server. You had all kinds of hardware inside the office. Since then, things have moved to the cloud. So Do offices still need IT rooms now for equipment, or is everything done straight through the internet on the cloud?
There's still a need for an IT closet. You still have to bring all of your cabling for things that are wired within the office back to a central point for connectivity, like you mentioned.
Hmm.
There's still specialized use cases where people don't want things in the cloud. So there's still a mix. Take access control, for example. The access control does run off of the cloud. And access control is the key card readers. Most people know,
Right,
oh, I scan a key card reader.
right,
Most of those have moved their brains, if you will, to the cloud, but we still need a location to put the controllers. And the controllers are what take when you read the badge.
hmm,
It goes to the controller and then it says, oh, I need to unlock this door. So we
right.
still need several items to be physically present in the business. But you're right, most of it has moved to the cloud, especially anything that's solely software based. That's very easy to move into the cloud.
Now, how has the desktops changed because of that from before and what they needed to now what they need?
Yeah, for sure. Well, mobility plays a huge role these days, right? Everybody has a tablet or a cell phone
Hmm.
or something like that. So a lot of the work that was done on desktops has moved to those mobile devices, especially if you have a field-based workforce who may be
Hmm.
out rolling trucks. Gas and oil people use a ton of that stuff when they're out either building the pipelines or servicing the pipelines.
Hmm.
They need a solid tablet that has good connectivity. So, really most of the work has moved away from the workstation, except for people who, don't really need to leave the office or leave their home office, if you will.
Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, in the office or home office, do they have a tendency to use laptops versus the desktop so they can actually unplug and take it if they have to travel?
Yeah, for sure. Imagine the parent that has kids at home and they need to, make sure that they keep an eye on their kids.
Hmm.
So having a laptop makes sure that, the parent can post up somewhere and still watch their kids in the yard, or even take them to the park if they need to blow off some steam, and the parent can still kind of work. So laptops for sure for people that work from home. I would say maybe only 5 to 10% have desktops.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so that's a big move because they used to be where they were all desktops in the office.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as you know, 5 years ago, we all had the major world event that shifted
Yeah,
work from the offices to home on extremely
right.
short notice. So because of that, over the last 5 years, that mobility piece has really just exploded more than it would have if that global event hadn't have spurred it on.
Right, right, right. You got to stay mobile. Now, tablets versus laptops. So if I'm in a plane, I'm going to see people working on tablets and I see people working on laptops. What's the capability of one versus the other? I mean, it's because everything or mostly everything is on the cloud. Does a tablet get away with and do what the laptops used to do, or how does that work?
Yeah, it just depends on the horsepower that someone needs to do their job. There are plenty of field techs that do take a laptop, even with a 10 key, which, makes the laptops a little bit bigger because they
Right.
may need to be punching numbers in and things like that. So there's still a use case for even some of the larger laptops in the field.
Hmm.
Maybe if you're a technician that needs to plug into a system to then be able to do diagnostics or something,
Right.
a laptop's going to be a bit more beneficial because it still has the room for your USB ports and things like that.
Hmm.
Whereas if you're out in the field and everything's Bluetooth or wireless or something, then those guys are probably going to be using a tablet because they don't need to plug into anything. So it really depends on
Hmm.
your workload as to what we would choose.
Right, right. Now, if you're in the office, what's better or easier, hardwired, or wireless? Meaning a docking station that's hardwired in, or wireless? Does wireless have enough bandwidth to support everything being offline on the cloud, actually?
Yeah. Today we have what's called Wi-Fi 6 and Wi-Fi 7, and even moving into Wi-Fi 8. And I know that kind of sounds like the cell phones that are 3G, 4G, 5G, but it's essentially the same thing. As the access points improve, the ability to hand off the devices as people walk through an office or something is getting better. But there's a pro and con to both. Using a wired network, you are more secure, because no matter how good your Wi-Fi security is, because that's a radio signal, someone could park in a parking lot or somewhere that you don't even notice them and attempt to attack your network. If you're using a wired network, then someone has to physically be able to plug into that network. So many advances in wireless that do make the working experience better. But we still say ultimately for full security, wired provides that.
Now, having said that, and you mentioned maybe hackers and whatnot, what types of firewalls should people consider having? Maybe software firewalls or hardware firewalls, or a combination of both, to have the best security possible. I don't think anybody's 100% immune to security penetration. They get into the White House if they wanted to, right? But you still want to kind of rule out as much of that as you can, so it's not so disruptive for the businesses.
Yes, exactly. And as you mentioned, there's no such thing as bulletproof security, because if you think about it, the people who tend to be bad actors, they kind of make that their lifestyle. And so they have all the time in the world to sit there and monitor and slowly pick away. It's not necessarily like you see in the movies where a hacker comes up, he's like, all right, plug me in, 2 seconds later, after a montage, he's in, he's got all the passwords and everything. In reality, this type of hacking or network infiltration often takes months or years, and it's very, very incrementally. So I would encourage people to have a firewall first. One of the biggest things that we see out there is when you go to Spectrum or Cox or AT&T, whoever you may get your business internet from, they come in, they put down a device or 2 devices, depending on what they need. And then that essentially establishes some connectivity for the business. But it's important to know that what the internet provider gives you, whether it's 1 or 2 devices, really is not a firewall to protect your business. It will protect the service provider. It'll protect AT&T, Cox, Spectrum, things like that. But it is not designed to be that really, lock and key for your business. So first step, have a firewall. Second step, as you mentioned, it depends on whether you have a physical office, whether you may want a hardware-based firewall, or if you have a more distributed workforce that's people out in the field or remote workers from home or wherever, then you might want software firewalls, which can actually be put on your individual devices these days. So one thing we do is we deploy a suite of tools for our remote companies that actually puts a software firewall on your computer, which does a really good job. You don't have to call into your company resources somewhere that may be in an office across the country and then be protected by the firewall. So first thing, have a firewall. Second thing, depending on your use case, hardware, software, or even a little bit of both may be appropriate.
No, that's great to know, because I was talking to one of my boys actually, and he says that when he got a job in his company, that they had a training class on you don't open these kind of emails up, and
excellent,
right? Like, don't do that.
Yes.
So it's a whole class just on that for all employees, it looks like. Now here's the funny part is that, so he was telling me that they actually test you, right? So he says he got an email and he didn't know. He's got a handful of days in there, and he clicks on it and it opens up and it says, gotcha. and so he had to go back and take another class, which is, I think it's great training. And then as the days progressed, they sent him another spamming email, and he goes, "Oh no, you're not gonna get me twice." And he deleted it, and it says, "Good job." Send him a message. So that's kind of cool how they do that for employees.
Awesome. Yes. And you bring up a very good point. It's not just about the technology and the devices that we put in and the software. There is such a huge human component to our security in the digital space. And something that has been lacking is just very basic non-technical training. You don't have to train everyone in your business at a high technical level to be safe. As you mentioned, it can be as simple as don't plug in a random USB stick that you find somewhere. Don't click on the weird links. So that's something that we champion as well, is we definitely like to make sure that our customers receive that kind of non-technical security training that really kind of zippers everything up between the hardware we deploy and what the employees have to deal with as being, attack targets themselves.
So do you guys have something like that? Like once you go into, let's just say you get a new client, you do your assessments, you get in there, you set up your firewalls. Main thing is to prevent any type of intrusion. Do you set up classes, or I don't know, maybe some videos that they can watch, kind of instructing and teaching employees, listen, look out for these, be careful. If you're not sure, don't click on it, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. We run the same kind of programs that you mentioned that your son experienced, where we'll send out test emails to the employee base, people who click on it, hey, maybe they need a little more training, and others, get rewarded for noticing, a threat to the company and themselves.
Right. Like a day off or something like that. No.
Yeah. No.
Right.
Reward is huge in motivating people.
So how difficult would it be to clean something up if something got in?
That really depends on what gets in. Sometimes someone may breach a company, and it may be a matter of just kind of changing some passwords, making sure you boot them out, changing up some accounts, things like that. Or it could be a much more sophisticated attack to where they've gained control of, say, like the hard drives of every one of your computers, including servers and stuff. There are instances to where it is impossible to clean a breach fully, and you have to completely tear everything down, buy new hardware, reinstall everything. So it can be something as simple as, just some additional training and changing some passwords, or you may have to rebuild your infrastructure if, a major player gets you and has totally locked everything out.
Wow. So then are there backups or redundant backups in case if something happens that you can go elsewhere and retrieve the information and reload it to the new hard drives and the new software?
Ideally, everybody is encouraged to have a backup. We do that in our daily lives with lots of things. We have a backup place for dinner if our first choice is going to be full. So it's important to have the backups, but it's also important to practice the act of recovering your backups. There's been a lot of cases where people are like, "Oh, I have my backup, it's good," but then when they needed to take that backup and re-implement it into the company, they discovered, hey, maybe I'm missing a few pieces or something. So it's not just having the backup, but it's making sure that you can implement the backup when you need it.
So how often do you test your backup to make sure that you're going to have it ready to use if you need it?
Depends on our customer use case. A manufacturing plant that's pumping out $5 million worth of product every couple of days, they may want to have an hourly backup. A smaller office that, makes substantial changes maybe once a week to their databases and things, maybe you want to back that up every couple of days. So it depends on your company's risk profile and how far back or how quickly you need data to be able to get back up and running. So it's very much a custom thing.
See, that's interesting you say that, because who would think about that, right? Like you have all this data going in, and it's like that's important information to keep you running. You have to have redundancy just in case something happens. Even if your hard drives get corrupt, if you have them still in house, and so this is like all preventive type of things that you have to do to be able to get back up and running. Those are some really good points that you're bringing up, because sometimes people don't know, or you just don't think about that. You're like, just I need a system that gets me going, but backup? Oh, I should be doing that.
Yeah, for sure. Technology moves so fast. If you're not a technically, inclined business owner, then, you probably should have someone who's an IT professional or advisor, on your team, because you turn around and, next year, what you've been working on so hard, if you didn't know that something new is coming, you've basically spent so much time investing in an older solution, that, now you're still behind the curve. So
Right.
it definitely takes a lot of strategy and kind of mapping things out and really getting in there to decide, how do I need my business to function? What tools need to integrate, and how do I keep everything safe?
What role is AI playing in what you guys do now?
Absolutely. AI is becoming a force that, is going to change the world, as everybody knows. For us, the AI hasn't impacted too many aspects. That's not to say that we're not doing AI, but at the moment for physical installs, the robots can't quite go hang a security camera. That may be coming, but they can't do that yet.
Right.
I've played around with some AIs and said, hey, give me a security camera design for, this type of business. And it does give a good foundation, but it doesn't really reference what I talked about earlier of that human psychology component. Like the AI may say, hey, a camera looks good here, but then we know through experience that you may want to tweak that camera a little bit because we know people will do this.
Right.
So the AIs are definitely helping us. They're supporting us. They aren't really taking over anything in our business just yet. So we're very excited to continue exploring AI and its benefits, and obviously trying to make sure that we secure the AIs and their outputs and inputs and everything as much as possible. I don't know if you saw, but within the last couple of weeks, there's been multiple news announcements of ChatGPT, Grok, which is the one that Elon Musk works with. The things people are putting in are showing up in Google. They're coming out up into Google and the clear internet, and so people can go and see what you've been talking about to your AI about. So there's a big security thought process around AI.
Interesting, because some people put some personal stuff in Chat GPT. Shoot, then everybody's reading that. Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. There have been people who've put sensitive company information in that recently, within the last 2 months, have appeared in Google searches.
That's interesting. I wonder how that's going to change, right? They have to fix it. Somebody's got to figure it out. Somebody's got to fix it. And then the other question is, and I don't think anybody has the answer, is you have all these AIs, kind of like a race to the top, right? Kind of like in the old days when say the internet browsers came out, and Google ends up winning and took everybody else out, the Gmail and everything else. And now we have a new race. It's like, which one is going to be the one that ends up winning and becomes the go-to platform?
Exactly. I see a time here soon to where, instead of logging into a Chat GPT or a Grok or whoever's kind of text-based interface, I see a possible scenario to where people will, much like we sign up for like social media today, they'll pick an AI agent, they'll download it, they'll put their personal preferences in. I like tacos, I don't like sushi, whatever. And then that agent will begin to act on people's behalf. And I'm really excited about that. But that plays into what you're talking about, is, who's going to race and be that kind of first AI platform where people can really start to interact with the world through that agent.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely interesting times, and you know what? I think everybody's got to get involved in this because if not, you're going to get left behind, like way behind. It's moving so fast.
Right. It's like the internet and cell phones, right? The
Yeah,
first people who bought iPhones
yeah,
in that kind of transformation in the cell phone space.
yeah,
First
yeah.
people who bought iPhones, I mean, you saw somebody at the iPhone hanging out with your friends and you're like, "Did you just come back from the future?
You're
What
like,
is this thing?
dang,
It has no buttons. Like this is a phone? What do you
yeah,
mean?" So
I
I
remember
think the
that.
same
I
thing is
remember that.
happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That'll be interesting. Well, that's really good stuff. So as we wrap up our interview, Brett, what do you have exciting coming up in the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, we are working on designing agentic AI platforms for our customers. We have some really cool access to some tools to do that. And then also our physical security. There's being advancements in security with cameras that can do some amazing analytics that really open up visibility into a facility. And one thing I want to say about the cameras is we're also having customers who use them for things besides security. They're using them for marketing, so that they can show what's happening inside their business if they have a public facing business. So
Hmm.
we're really looking outside of kind of the traditional uses of technology and discovering what we can do more with them, without having to spend too much money because, everybody's tight right now. So that's what we're looking
Yeah,
forward to is
amazing, amazing. Well, Brett, thanks so much for coming on and sharing everything that you do. And if somebody's listening to us and would like to get a hold of you, what's the best way to communicate with you?
absolutely. Our website is willikinsenterprises.com. You spell that WILLIKINS and then the word enterprises. Or you can call us on our company phone at 213-516-4101. We're also on Instagram
Very good, Brett.
and
Well,
LinkedIn.
perfect. Well, appreciate you coming on. Thanks so much. And to our audience, please go to ocpowerplayers.com and follow us on your favorite channel. Thank you, Brett.
Thanks for listening to Orange County Power Players. Want to share your success story? Apply to be a guest at ocpowerplayers.com/guest.